So perfect. Yeah, we covered just the KYC requirements, which are more towards your personal information. So now we'll cover the KYB or know your business requirements that banks will check and validate against the information that you're providing. The first one, again, being more US specific, is the EIN or the employee identification number, which again, we talked about in our prior module. So that number is required in order to set up with any financial services provider or payment service provider. It's almost like the same as a social security number or a individual taxpayer ID number for your personal side. This is that number for your business side. So that is a hard requirement no matter what. You also need the business license. So whatever state you incorporated in, like we mentioned, there was 4 states that are relatively popular. You want to upload a copy of the business license into that request. The third one here is the articles of incorporation. So depending on your entity structure, most clients that I see have a LLC or a limited liability corporation. You'll want to have the articles uploaded as well, which show all the members of the organization, and could be just one individual or could be multiple. So you want to validate that with the articles there. And the last piece is the business address. And so I put physical in parentheses because this is a very, very important, I would say, fundamental change. So I'm going to underline that there. And what I see a lot of clients will register with like the state of Delaware or Wyoming, where there's a registered agent address that is provided to you as a way to reflect on your business license. I'm going to repeat this a couple times. The registered agent address does not satisfy this business address requirement that you are sending to your financial services providers. I repeat, the registered agent address that you get from either Wyoming or Delaware or wherever you're registering does not satisfy this business address requirement. And then the second thing I'm going to say in addition to that is for reliability. You may get away with it and you may be able to get set up with that registered agent address. Where I see this, and again, I deal with hundreds of clients, I would say even almost on a monthly basis, you will likely get shut down or reviewed and asked for a physical address update if you do sneak through the cracks and get it set up. You need to have a physical address here. This is the biggest trip up for entrepreneurs that I see, particularly outside of the US, selling into the US. So what does this mean, right? There's tax implications that could potentially go to this. Now, I've heard different things. You always want to consult a tax advisor, regardless. I'm not a tax consultant, but I'm just telling you what I've seen and observed. You can still have a physical physical business address here, and you wouldn't have tax liability as long as you don't store inventory in the US. So if you're shipping, let's say from Europe or UK or from China, as long as you're not storing inventory in the US, there's limited tax implications or no tax implications. Always consult a tax advisor on this information. With this here, you can use what's called a WeWork or a co-working space. So I personally work out of a co-working space, meaning that there's hundreds of businesses in this complex that I work in. The address is the same for all of the individuals, but I have mail that comes to me that is associated to my business and it's Google verified, right? So if you're running a legitimate business, you want to put in the address of, let's say, a co-working space or the WeWork, and you can typically get these on a pretty cost-effective model on a month-to-month contract. So there really is no contract because it's just a month-to-month agreement. They're relatively cheap. A desk will work as long as you have a place where you can put mail at and there's a desk assigned to you. These can range, it starts, maybe $150, $200 a month, and then they can go up from there depending on what areas of the country that you're looking to establish your operations in. This gives you all of the requirements for KYB. There is another caveat to the EIN. If you're a non-US citizen applying for an EIN, you may use what's called an SS4. So the SS4 is a document that's kind of a prelim doc to getting your EIN, and this is for, again, non-US residents. These are really the requirements that you have to have in order to get reliable payment processing solution. You have to satisfy the KYC process, and you also have to satisfy what's called the KYB process. Hopefully that helps in terms of setting up and getting started with your journey here with payment processing and getting access to financial services within the United States.